Wow, here we are again, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We are in the book of Jeremiah, and we just got done looking at a couple of verses. You need to read the whole chapter 3 of the book of Jeremiah, which is only 25 verses, and you can read it in less than 10 minutes. 10 to 12 minutes, you can read that whole chapter. Ask God to show you what that is saying. Now, you and I, of all people, if we can read, we probably understand harlotry. What harlotry is. That's a person that's doing something outside of what he knows he should be doing. Now, it falls in different categories. One of the categories is a man that's married, has no business flirting or doing anything with another woman. And if a man who follows God is got God as his Savior and as his Father in the spiritual sense, he has no business fooling with the devil, or doing the things of the devil, or going the way of the devil. And so, therefore, we must be very careful today, because there's a very fine line right here. You can step over it. And when you step over it, you become forlorn if you're a Christian. I have of late seen some women come into our church who have been led by a good Christian person to a good church and taken them out of the place where they were and stood them back up on their feet, where they can start coming out and you can look at their demeanor. And when they first started coming, they were forlorn. And now they're getting happier. And now their countenance is getting better. Because they're getting out of that situation that the devil put them in. They're not bad women. These are good women. And we have some men that are good men. And they're coming out of where they were. I was a working man when I was a sinner following the devil. It's as straight out as I could follow him. I still was a working man. But I was a forlorn man in my jowls. And I was forlorn, and I had that bad feeling all the time that I was a wicked man, and I was. November 5th, 1972, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Drunk, wrecked my car. Said God, looked up to heaven and said, God, I am a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come in my heart and save my soul. He turned my life around. Never took another drink. Bigger than that, I never swore another cuss word from that day to this. And that was in 1972. And here it is, 2020. Has life been real good all of those years? It's been good in my heart and my mind, but I've had some hard times because I played the harlot. I took some big jobs that were above me, and because I was fooling with big corporate lost people who beat little people out of their money, I performed properly and got beat out of my money by corporate people who their only thing is their bottom line. People don't count. People are dispendable to them. The people do not matter. As long as that person is bringing production and production and production and production, they're good. You let them fail a week in production, and they're gone. And they'll put another person in there who they've got their thumb on, who knows he has to produce and tries to produce. And the other guy, almost every company I worked for in the big city, I was beat out of the majority of my money at the end of it because of their system. And that's just the system in the United States today. That's the way it is. The most corporate people in the United States today do not deal fairly with the small man. They get all they can get out of him, and the minute they find out they can't get any more, poof, he's gone. They write him off. They say, I don't even want him on the property anymore. I don't want to hear his name anymore. He's out of the picture. I don't want to even have anything more to do with him. He's gone. And they write on the bottom line. We did. While we had the man, we profited all these thousands of dollars, and he went in the hole. And that's the way the United States is right now. He said, if you will return, in chapter 4, verse 1, O Israel, he's talking here about God's people. And the United States of America were God's people. Says the Lord, return to me, and if you will, put away your abominations out of my sight. We've got many abominations today. One of the biggest abominations in the United States today, and it's funneled by our government, and that is the lottery. It is one of the biggest thieving institutions in the United States, robbing the money of senseless people. A person that buys $1 lottery ticket has lost his senses. To put that dollar on that lottery ticket, he's lost his senses. And what kills me is the very people buying the lottery tickets now have cards that the government gives them that they can go buy their groceries with. And they can take whatever little money they get, run right down there and put it in the lottery. I see people going hungry. I see families going hungry. I see families going bankrupt, being destitute. That if you give them $1, rather than to buy something to eat, they take a chance on making that dollar into more dollars by buying a lottery ticket. They have their slate up here has been wiped clean, and they have nothing on it that says this is not proper, this is not going to work. I had a friend that had a car lot. A lady, well, he had to go pick her car up one day, so he goes and picks it up. She couldn't make the payment. He pulls the car and he said, come here, Pete, look in the back window. Looking in the back window of that car, you could not see the seat. It was full of lottery tickets. Full. The back end of the car was full of lottery tickets, and she couldn't make her payment. And couldn't even live. Couldn't live because she had spent all her money on lottery tickets and not ever won anything. It's stacked. The deck is stacked against you. It would be like you taking the 52 cards, or however many there is in a deck, and lay them out and saying, I'm going to draw the ace out every time. I got news for you. You probably draw 51 of those 52 cards before you ever draw the ace. And the chances are stacked against you ever drawing that one thing or ever winning that lottery. Any part of the lottery. Any part of the lottery. How do you think it's got up into the billions of dollars? Can you imagine how much interest the people that run the lottery are drawing daily on your dollar bills that you threw away? You gave to them. It's rigged. It is rigged. And the people in the United States of America don't realize it's rigged. Gambling is rigged today. And it's not only just rigged that way, the devil has used it to destroy families. Verse 2, and you shall swear the Lord lives, and truth in judgment and in righteousness. Listen to this now, this statement. The nation shall bless themselves in him, and in him they shall glory. Verse 2 of chapter 4 says, if you go to church, ask the Lord to save you, put 10% of your money that God allows you to run through your hand in the church treasury, that God will reward you with a comfortable life. And you'll be able to live on what you make with putting that 10% in there, because God will take the rest of your 90% and make it work properly. And you can be comfortable. Why? I make a small amount of money, yet I live in a house worth over $100,000 that's paid for. Been paid for years. Why? Because I've always put my 10% in, right off the top. I never get a dollar that 10 cents doesn't go into a box for the Lord Jesus Christ, into the church. If you put 10 cents out of every dollar that you turn back into the church, God will bless your life. You say, is that the only way you can be blessed? No. You've got to follow God in other ways too. You've got to give Him 10% of your life, 10% of your time. How do I give God 10% of my time, Peter? There's 168 hours in a week. Well, do like I do. Give 16.8 hours a week to the Lord. You say, how do you do that, Peter? Well, part of it's right here on this YouTube. I have to put a certain amount of hours a week on this YouTube, because this is part of what I give to God. Then I have to put a certain amount of hours during the week out visiting people, talking about Jesus, out passing out tracts. This is called a tract. This is the thing that I pass out. It has the plan of salvation in it, and has this YouTube website on it. And spend 16.8 hours a week. What do? You visit the hospital. Some I don't do like I used to do. I'm not as like I used to do. I'm not visiting like I used to visit. I fail in some areas. It comes with age. It comes with being having other things going on in your life. And so, but we need to stay within the realm of verse 2 of chapter 4. God needs to be first to keep the judgment properly. Now, if our judgment is righteous, then we will have a righteous judgment and we'll prosper. But if we're living in a place to where it's unrighteous, then we're going to have an unrighteous life. Even though we can be saved. You can be saved and have an unrighteous life. For instance, one of the first things God dealt with me with is no more throwing your money into the alcohol bottle and doing all those things you were doing. He dealt with me on the cigarettes. I didn't have a right to take God's money and buy cigarettes with it. I know hundreds of people that can't tithe, but they smoke. Because they can't tithe. They're smoking up their tithing money. And then all of a sudden they get lung cancer. Oh, me, I got lung cancer. Pray for me. Wait a minute now. It says right on the pack, you can get cancer if you smoke these things. How belligerent can we get? That we can read that and say, I don't really mean that. It wasn't put on there because it didn't mean it. It was put on there because it did mean it. And it's a proven fact. Smoking causes cancer. Let's go to another verse. Verse 3 of chapter 4 in the book of Jeremiah. For thus says the Lord to the men of Judah and Jerusalem. When you see Judah and Jerusalem in the Bible, you see, thus saith the Lord to the Christians today. The book of Jeremiah is talking to those who were God's people. Who are God's people in America today? Those who are Christians. What is a Christian? A Christian's a man that's supposed to act Christ-like. That's what a Christian is, acting like Christ. If somebody slaps you on the face, you turn the other cheek, and they slap you on the other side, and you walk away. A bigger man than the man slapping you. Oh, he thinks, man, see how big I am, man, I slapped him, and he just walked away. He's scared of me. No, I ain't scared of the man that slaps me. As a matter of fact, back before I got saved, he slapped me. He might not be alive the next week. Or his house might have burnt down. And I used to be that way too. God had to deliver me from all of that. But back before I was saved, if you slapped me, you slapped the wrong guy. And I might turn and walk away. But you were going to get the penalty. You were going to get it when you weren't expecting it. And you were going to get it in another way. And so you had to watch it. And I'm not going to go back into that because I'll get back in my heathen thinking, which is stinking thinking. But here we are. God said the nation. Now, he says, break up your fallow ground and do not sow among thorns. We need to break up all of the things in our lives first that are foul ground that's not productive. Smoking's not productive. Drinking's not productive. Cursing's not productive. If you're a man looking at other women other than your wife, not productive. Sticking your nose in somebody else's business is not productive. How do you be productive? You do what God says to do, mind your own business, and start following the Lord, and putting your mind on the Lord, and doing what you're supposed to do, and you'll be productive. And this is what he's saying here. For thus saith the Lord to the men who are Christians. Verse 4. Circumcise yourself to the Lord, and take away the foreskin of your hearts, you men of Judah, inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come like fire, and burn so that no one can quench it, because of the evil of your doing. Wow. The Old Testament speaks an awful lot about being circumcised. That's what happens to a baby when he's born. He has a umbilical cord. He has a cord hooked to him, and that is cut off. We're going to use that for the sake of not being rude in a sense on the YouTube. That is a circumcision, to cut that cord off. That's a circumcision. Some people have said, have you got an innie or an outie on your belly button? Well, it's according to where they cut the cord. If they cut it way out, an inch or so out, you have an outie. If they cut it up close, you have an innie. But that is a circumcision. That's not actually the circumcision it's talking about in the Bible, but that will work for talking politely. The foreskin it's talking about is not that particular one, but this is to be polite. We'll use that. It's a cutting away, is what it is. And it's a cutting away of a tender part of your body. And he's saying, cut away these things, circumcise all the things in your life that you like that aren't good for you. That aren't good for you. And that's why you were circumcised, because there was an amount of skin there that was not good for you. And so it had to be taken away. And he's saying, cut those things that are not good for you out of your life. Can it be painful? Yes, it can. It can be painful. Take away the foreskin of your heart. That's the excess junk you have in your heart. You men of Judah, he's saying, are you Christian inhabitants of the United States? Lest my fury come forth like fire and burn so that no one can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. It would do for you people today, right now. It would do for you to go back to the 30s and read about the dearth in the United States of America. The famine in America. The famine in America that we had in America. In America now. Hey, the next time you see one, it's not going to be pleasant. Why do cannibals in some countries eat other people? Because that's what they have. And they've adjusted to eating other people for food because that's what they have. Because they have no other choice. Do you know we can see that day in America? We can see that day again in America. We can see it here again. You think, well, we're free and clear of all that and it never happened. I tell you what, you let us collapse. And we're going to collapse from within. When you crush the head, the body dies. And the head is about to be crushed in America. Lest my fury come forth like fire and burn so that no one can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. Our United States government is legislating evil. We have a democratic system in our White House that is evil continually. And democratically, they are pressuring all the rest by making laws that are written that can't be held without breaking God's laws. And when you start breaking God's laws and start aborting children, start taking the rights of parents away, start interfering with the family. The family is a sacred thing. It's a private thing. It's not supposed to have government control in it. It offends me. It offends me. The system today offends me something terrible. I have a son that has some problems in his wife, between him and his wife and his family. He wanted to bring his children to my house. I have a Christian house. No smoking, no swearing, no cussing, nothing of the devil in this house. Nothing on my property of the devil. No devil stuff here. They send a lady from the welfare department down here that takes pictures of my whole house. She's suspicious of me because I have a jar of candy on the counter. She relating me eating that candy because I'm some kind of doper and I'm geeking and I have to have something sweet. We live in such an evil world today. The very people in the position of high position think evil only. Do you think that I persuaded that woman? Not on your life. They want me to come take a drug test. so that my grandchildren can come and visit me, I have to take a drug test. Do you think that's right? Because it isn't right. I'm a preacher. I don't dabble in anything outside of God's things. I don't dabble in the world. I don't even watch the television set. I don't even watch the crazy news. And I stay out of the system that's anti-Christ and anti-God. And I don't allow it in my house. I don't allow it on my property. Yet I'm under suspicion and have to go take a drug test and prove to them that I'm not a doper. This world has got so bad that we have these people that come in here and they smell like cigarettes. And when they're outside of here and they're outside, they're playing on their telephone, and yet they have enough power to destroy a man, they can destroy my house and my family. She took pictures of my whole house, every inch of it. Took pictures of my refrigerator, took so many of them I couldn't believe it. And what she's doing is she's looking in my door where I have bottles of ketchup and mustard and things to go on sauces and stuff, to make sure that when they blow it up in their place, to see if there's any kind of liquor or anything in there that they could prosecute me with. What she's looking for in my house is something to prosecute me with, something to keep me from being able to have my grandchildren come visit me, because they're now in the state system. And the state system is 100% totally corrupt. And they want to tell you who live uncorrupt that you can't have the kids there because your house is either this or that. Some little bitty thing they might find. Or your yard's trashed up. You need to clean your yard up. So this is where we live. We live in the United States of America, a place that used to be Christian and now has gone way off to the left. Let's read one more verse. Verse 5. Declare in Judah and proclaim in Jerusalem and say, blow the trumpet. This is the United States of America. We need to start blowing the trumpet. We need to start declaring. And we need to cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the fortified cities. Let us get in the Bible. Let us go into the church. Let us get to the place where God is being worshipped. Let us put our hearts into that. Let us throw our cigarettes down. Let us throw our alcohol down. Let us throw our dirty jokes down. Let us throw our filthy talk down. Let us clean our minds up. Let us put our eyes on God, and let us stop looking and lusting men after women and women after men. Let us get the junk out of our churches. Let us get God back in to the forefront. We'll never retrieve. We would never to think that we could retrieve the corruption that's in the top end of our city out of it is foolish. I don't believe we can do it anymore. I believe God has said Ichabod to LaGrange, Georgia. Anywhere that promotes evil, promotes abortion, anywhere that allows it, even a city that allows it, I don't see why can't the county I live in, the city I live in, why can't it say we'll have no abortions in this city? If you live in this city, abortion is not an option. You could say in your city what would be and what wouldn't be. You think there are no more Mayberries? There are no more nice cities like Andy Griffith lived in? And old Barney Fife? No, Mayberries are gone. Why? Because now they're government controlled. And they have government control type people in them. People that get a position. When they get the position, they want what they think and what they say to be the law and the rule. And it has become that way. And God is left out of the whole picture. A lot of times come and gone. We'll have to go for now. And I hate it because this is a subject that's endless. We'll see you next time. Right. Bye-bye.